CJI Gawai has clearly become a threat to the security of the nation. He has ignited the country and now has the cheek to say these things don't affect him. This man has got a completely loose tongue that he keeps on making such irresponsible statements, and he claims that he's a lawyer with 30 years standing. This is shameful. Mr. Gawai should sit on that bench itself and apologize to the nation for his remarks. What is his business, being a judge, to comment on matters of faith when it goes beyond the purview of the law? It is because of his loose tongue that this unfortunate incident happened. These are the people who are not religious at all. They have no respect for any religion. A religious person will have respect for other religions also. It is all to gain cheap popularity and just to achieve some political or nefarious agenda that all these statements are made. The comment by CJI Gawai on Lord Vishnu also shows his obstinate character and his arrogance. Sometimes power goes to people's head and they start thinking that I have backup and therefore I can make any kind of statement and go scot-free. Of course, now people would say that citizens have been granted rights and therefore the CJI is well within his right to comment on faith. Yes, sadly, everyone has a right to speak. In a democracy, the grass has the right to grow and a donkey has the right to eat. But despite such statements, which might have got an average citizen into serious trouble, nobody has dared to touch Gawai. It shows his clout. Insidious, isn't it? Sounds like a justification for violence? These aren't my words, though. These are the infamous words of Justice Suryakant and Justice Pardiwala in the Nupur Sharma case. They said this when a man had been beheaded and a woman was getting gang rape and beheading threats from across the world because of the supposedly hurt feelings of one community. In Nupur Sharma's case, she had merely responded to Muslims insulting Hindus, and she was accurate, might I add. In the case of CJI Gawai, he had humiliated and insulted Hindus on a whim, on his own religious and ideological whim. If I were just as bad as these judges, I could have very easily used these words to justify the attempted shoe hurling at Gawai. And if I were to use these words to justify the attempted shoe hurling at Gawai, people would have believed me and applauded me, because let's face it, Gawai's statement was pure insolence against Hindus, knowing that he would not face any substantial consequences for his statement. It was a misuse of his position of power. It in fact stemmed from the assumption of immunity given the absolute tyranny of the unelected. Today, a 71-year-old lawyer attempted to hurl a shoe at Chief Justice of India, Mr. B.R. Gawai, during open court proceedings. He was restrained and escorted out of the courtroom. As he was being removed, the lawyer reportedly shouted, "Sanatan ka apman nahi sahenge." It was an act of defiance against the earlier comment by CJI Gawai, where he insulted a petitioner's faith who had merely asked him to facilitate the restoration of a beheaded Lord Vishnu idol. Go and ask the deity itself to do something now. You say you're a staunch devotee of Lord Vishnu? So go and pray now, he had said. Days after this comment, today, when a lawyer attempted to hurl a shoe at him, CJI Gawai, addressing the courtroom, said, "Don't get distracted at all. We are not distracted. These things do not affect me." No, my dishonor, these things do affect you. They affect you deeply, in fact. We know you monitor social media and we know you're aware of the outrage against your statements. That is precisely why you offered a half-baked justification. Despite being well aware of the outrage and hurt sentiments, you did not even deem fit to offer an apology to Hindus. That was your arrogance. And not only you, it affects the entire legal fraternity. Almost immediately, the Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association jumped into action, calling it cowardly, intemperate, and antithetical to the dignity of the legal profession. The association stressed that such conduct undermines mutual respect between the bench and the bar, strikes at the independence of the judiciary, and erodes public faith in the Indian judicial system. They also reaffirmed their faith in the institutional integrity, secularism, unity, and fraternity. Calculated acts against a sitting judge are direct assaults on the judiciary, the association said. All the right punch words. The association believes that a reaction by a 71-year-old lawyer erodes public faith in India's justice system, not the clearly partisan approach adopted by the CJI, nor the shameless and religiously discriminatory language used by the CJI. That the lawyer's reaction was against secularism and institutional integrity, not the arbiter of the constitution humiliating the faith of over 1 billion people. Be that as it may, I am not as bad as the judges who sit in judgment and spew venom defending violence against those they oppose ideologically. Violence is only justifiable, in my opinion, when it is against those who are irredeemably evil. I don't believe the judiciary is irredeemable. Having said that, making this attempted shoe hurling an insult to the judiciary as an institution reeks of intellectual dishonesty. This unfortunate attempted shoe hurling would have been an attack against the judiciary as an institution if it were the result of a judgment passed or a law interpreted. Essentially, it would have been an assault on the judiciary had the lawyer attempted to indulge in violence against the very order passed by CJI Gawai, which directed the petitioner to approach the ASI in the case of the desecrated Murti of Bhagwan Vishnu. It wasn't. The truth is that Gawai's statement had nothing to do with the law or the judgment. It was an insidious comment born out of his own religious and ideological disdain. If Gawai were to stick to the law and its interpretation, he could have merely asked the petitioner in the case to approach the ASI, as the case fell under their jurisdiction. He did not. He made a conscious decision to hurt and insult, a stark reminder of the snide delegitimization of the faith that Islamists indulge in. If your gods are real, why did they not protect themselves? They often ask after going on a rampage, desecrating temples and murtis. This attempted violence, as unfortunate as it was against a man who took it upon himself to mock the faith of Hindus unilaterally, not the Chief Justice who delivered a verdict. This attempted violence is an expression of the helplessness of the Hindu community. It is not an attack on the judiciary, an institution that Hindus adhere to and submit to. That is, in fact, exactly what the petitioner in the Vishnu idol case was doing, begging the judiciary to restore his right to worship, to help restore the murti of his god desecrated by barbarians. What he got was not a judgment alone. It was humiliation. What the Hindu community got was an insult. This attempted violence was not an attack against the judiciary as an institution. It was a Hindu's expression of angst against a particular judge or judges like him who believe they can replace his gods.